Hi everyone, it's Refresh, and I'm coming to you with a look at Mayday Games' mini card sleeves for Euro size cards. Mayday Games lists Euro size cards as 45mm by 68mm. Some of you will note that some other card sleeves list the size as 44mm by 68mm, and I would like to confirm. Here is a Ticket to Ride card, which is one of the quintessential Euro size cards. According to this measurement, it is 44mm wide, not 45. So the information on the cover of the Mayday Games' sleeves is incorrect. The mini Euro size is actually 44mm. At least that means that the sleeves are going to be big enough to fit the cards. Mayday Games cards are clear, and they have an MSRP of $1.75 per pack, and you get 100 sleeves in each pack. That is just under about 2 cents per sleeve. So these are some of the cheapest sleeves that you can purchase for your mini Euro cards. Let's take a look at what's inside. The sleeves are clear and glossy on both sides. Now, let's count to make sure that there are 100 sleeves here. Ready? Okay, that's exactly 100 sleeves, so everything that is advertised is accounted for. Now let's check the thickness of the sleeves. 100 sleeves is 8mm thick, so that is about 80 microns per sleeve, or 40 microns each face. It's pretty standard for soft sleeves. Now let's check the dimensions. We have 46mm wide by 69mm tall. Alright, let's see how a card fits. I have a Ticket to Ride train card here, and I'll put it inside. Alright, it's a pretty good fit. There's a little bit of space on the outside, on the left and the right. It's actually a very tight fit at the top. There's barely any space between the opening of the sleeve and the top edge of the card. Time for the sleeving test. I'm going to put these 45 Ticket to Ride cards into 45 of these sleeves, and we will see how long that it takes. Ready, set, go. Alright, it took 2 minutes and 36 seconds to sleeve these cards, and that is the moderate speed of 3.47 sleeves per second. It's not the fastest, and part of that is just because you're trying to handle these static filled thin sleeves, which can be sometimes challenging to open, and sometimes they cling to each other as you're picking up the sleeves, so that does make it mildly challenging at times. So now that we've sleeved these up, let's take a look at how consistent and uniform they are out of the pack. I will say right now that the height is very uniform. Every single sleeve feels to be about the exact same height. The widths are slightly not uniform. You can feel in your fingers as you hold the sleeves that some of the sleeves are wider and some of them are skinnier, but I never had a problem fitting a card in the sleeves. So at the very least, even if they aren't uniform, they don't seem to be having a problem with actually fitting. But I do wonder if the lack of uniformity in the sleeves will mean that you might run across a batch of sleeves that are more uneven and may not fit the sleeves as intended. Another thing that I've noticed in the sleeves is that there is a bit of warping on some of the sleeves. Some of the sleeves come with little dents in them, and there was a bit of bending in some of the sleeves as well, like very mild creases on the surface of the sleeve that are visible if you are looking for them very carefully. But it looks like once you've sleeved up the cards, a lot of those imperfections aren't quite as noticeable. Now for the shuffle test, I'm going to shuffle these sleeved cards 100 times, and we'll see how long that it takes. Ready, set, go. Okay, it took 1 minute and 37 seconds to shuffle these 100 times. It's a pretty fast speed of 0.97 seconds per shuffle. One of the things I noticed while shuffling these particular sleeves is that because of how snug the fit is, the handling isn't quite as spongy as the soft sleeves can sometimes be when they're a little bit more loose around the edge. so there's not as much give at the top or at the side, and consequently I feel like the handling is a lot better, which is reflected, I think, in the fact that this is one of the faster sleeves that I have shuffled. So I'm pretty satisfied with how it feels in terms of shuffle. I do think that the sleeves don't feel great when you're holding them at all because, again, they do feel cheap and they do feel a little spongy. But the speed at which you can shuffle these sleeves is pretty impressive. Now that we've handled these sleeves a bit, let's take a look at how they fared. Okay, I will say that there is just a little bit more denting on the sleeves than when I probably first took a look at them, and some of the corners ended up being just slightly bent as a result of the handling process, as well as I noticed that some of the gloss is already starting to come off of the surface of the sleeves. So I feel like these sleeves are going to wear a bit faster than probably the average thicker sleeve. But then again, these are soft sleeves and they're very inexpensive, and so perhaps that's what you should expect with sleeves of this sort. Either way, I don't think the functionality has suffered, and even if they are not quite as durable or long-lasting as the more premium, thicker sleeves are, I think that these will be sufficient for many people's purposes. Now for the shake test, I've arranged these 45 sleeve cards into a deck, and as you can see, there is a very slight accordion effect with this deck, but I get the feeling that this one's not going to fall down like some of the other sleeves do. So I'm going to shake this for about 2 seconds and we'll see how well it survives. Ready, set, go. Okay, interesting. It looks like the deck has slid off the bottom, I don't know, 5 cards or so, but it hasn't actually collapsed. So I would consider this a success. It looks like it's going to be able to stand some amount of movement before it actually collapses. In fact, it withstands a lot of movement before it collapses. So I'm pretty impressed with how stable these sleeved cards are in a deck. Now we'll do the draw test. I'm going to draw 3 cards off the top and see how well the deck holds together. Ready, set, go. Yeah, it looks like the deck is holding together just fine. It is sliding just a little as I pick up cards from the deck, but it doesn't seem to be a problem, so I will consider that a pass as well. When it comes to Mayday soft sleeves, you always have basically the same expectation. These are very inexpensive sleeves, and you are going to get a good number of them for that price, and then you're also aware that you're not going to get necessarily the greatest longevity or durability in terms of the sleeves. At the very least, these sleeves fit without any problems, and they also appear to be a bit more consistent and uniform out of the package than sometimes their soft sleeves can be. Even with the differences in the widths, they aren't so different as to impact the functionality of the sleeve. And so I'm fairly impressed with that element of the sleeves, and while these they don't feel the best, they have this high gloss effect and the durability is limited, I think that they will actually serve many people who just want a really basic sleeve over their card very well. And what's more, the sleeves are a snug enough fit that they sort of just blend in with the card. They just make them seem really, really shiny. But the one thing that some people may dislike and some people may prefer is the fact that the distance between the top edge of the card and opening the sleeve is very small. And so it does mean that the sleeve is less visible, although it is a little bit on the wide side with a little bit of space for the card to wiggle around inside. There is no floppiness to the top because there's barely any distance. Now, that means that it is aesthetically pleasing at that top edge, but it does mean that you can really just see the top edge of the card very visibly from the opening of the sleeve, and anything that could brush the top edge of the sleeve could also have an impact on that top edge of the card because of how flexible the sleeve is and how close that top edge is to that opening. So there is a slightly lower chance that these sleeves will protect your top edges of your cards, but otherwise I think that the sleeves will be suitable for many people who are looking for soft sleeves. And soft sleeves do add much less to the profile of your cards as well, and so they're not as thick, they're not as tall, and consequently that's one of the reasons why I think they survived the shake and the draw test so well. If you want the most budget option for your mini Euro cards, these are probably going to be your sleeve of choice. If this video is helpful to you, hit the like button for me. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. I have surveys in the description box below that you can click on if you have experience with these sleeves or any other Mini Euro sleeves, and that will be shared on the Mayday Games' resources page. Thanks for watching. This was Refresh, and I will see you next time.